Oh man, how do I open chat on here? Oh boy. Okay. All right, let's see. I guess this is it. Yo. Yo, if you can hear this. Wow, okay. So I guess my laptop doesn't want to stream. That was a fun half an hour. All right, let's see here. Welcome, man. At least I got this working after 36 minutes. So to explain myself, I did test the stream while I was at work today using my phone hotspot. And I didn't actually try it on my home Wi-Fi. And for some reason, even though I have strong Wi-Fi, it's not working. The one time it worked as that potato was because I used my phone hotspot again. So I guess I'm just on my phone, even though I'm on Wi-Fi. So something about the desktop app didn't allow me to stream. I thought, like, I work in tech, so all day I debug all day. I did not want to be debugging after work too. But yes, long story longer, I got it working. Welcome. That's quite a way to kick it off. Yo, yo, yo. How do I change my thumbnail? Because I feel like a cleaner thumbnail than just like the profile picture will be nicer. How do I find time to work on the Miata? How many hours do I usually work a week normally? That's the name of the game at this point. Let's see if I can move this here. Let me see. So, how do I find time? I found time by having a pretty chill day job, and then that pretty chill day job became a very not so chill day job in the past like 4 months, which was quite unfortunate because that's also when all the work kind of got a little crazy and out of hand with like trying to repair the car myself. So how do I find time? It's all I would do. That's like the proper answer. It's all I would ever do for the last year is just work my job, come home, and then just obsess about the car or wanting to grow on YouTube and just work on that all the time. Like I haven't really hung out with friends that much last year. How many hours do I usually work a week normally? It is very erratic. There is sometimes like the past, I think 3 weeks that I haven't even touched my car in terms of working on it. And then there's some times where I get in the flow and everything's going well and I have all the tools I need, and then I work for the whole weekend straight. So unfortunately, there's no smooth schedule right now because everything's kind of just at the mercy of my day job. If I'm like busy all week and exhausted all day, even though I might have free time, I might not have energy to do it that day. So like it kind of just it's very erratic, and I try to not push myself too hard right now so I don't burn out. There was a point last year where I was on my once a week schedule, which I want to one day get back to. And that was fun, but it started to get a little stressful. So I realized I need to kind of balance it out right now and just let myself not work when I don't have energy, and then keep going if I'm in the flow. Long answer, even longer. There you go. Plan to do more autocrossing. Watching your video definitely made it more tempting. I'm glad. That's still the only autocross I've ever actually done. The problem is but I should preface this with I had a really good time, and you should definitely do it at least once. But that day that was like a 9 hour day, and that was my weekend. That was a Saturday. So I work in the work week, and then Saturday, all I did was just sit outside in a parking lot. So I'm not really that interested to do it just because seat time is so low. You spend how long? Like 8, 9 hours there, and you get 10 minutes of seat time. So what I want to do instead is just do proper track days. I think that'll be more interesting, more seat time, and it's just more of what I enjoy. At least I feel like it's more of what I'd enjoy just based on like how much I enjoy like spirited driving. So yes, I'm gonna get way more into tracking, not autocrossing, if that makes sense. Brandon, not sure if my message went through. I just joined. Curious how you like the Technos. Dude, I love them. Um, so I've never modified a car, and I've always seen kind of the horror stories about like, oh, I put my car in coilovers and now like the ride's awful, but now like I'm a stance boy. But the Technos were really good. Like I got the touring springs because they make like a touring spring and then a sport spring. The touring one they kind of marketed it as like a dual duty. Um, yeah, okay, I guess like now they renamed it the GT Springs. So I have effectively what is called the GT Springs now. When they first put out, they called it Touring. But that's like perfect for like the dual duty car. And I agree with their marketing on that one. That is the single best upgrade that I like put onto my car. Because in the marketing they mentioned like sport springs are recommended for people who are basically what is it, almost exclusively tracking it, I think. And then GT is kind of like dual duty. And the moment I saw dual duty, I'm like, that's what's gonna be. But yeah, 100% recommend it. I mean, also like I don't have much advice, much what's the word? I don't have that much experience with different suspension, but I love those things so much. That's the if I could do one, if I did this all over, that's the only upgrade I would ever want. Like if I could only pick one upgrade, it would be the Technos for sure. I missed something a minute ago. Long-term plans for the car: turbo, forged internals, ECU tuning, more handling. Supercharging, which I announced like 4 months ago, and I have not made much progress on. I bought a Track Dog Racing Rotrex supercharger, and I forget how many they make. They make like 2 or 3 different sizes, and I got like the smaller one because it's they say that it's much better for stock internals. Stuff like forged internals and ECU tuning, I'm trying to be conservative I'm trying to avoid getting too into it and then finding myself in a rabbit hole of modifying it heavily, especially because I don't have that much experience. So I'm trying to take like a good step at a time and not bite off more than I can chew. I don't really know what long term plans are for the car, but I can say for this year, it's fix the body damage, which you can't see from here, but there's still that hole in the car. Trying to get a welder to fix that, but fix the car up, supercharge it, and then supercharge it, track prep it, which is mainly like roll bar and trying to get some latches to like lock in the hardtop, and then just track it. And then probably make a little bit more like entertaining content about like my experience with the car and like what has been worth it, what isn't. So trying to not go too extreme yet and bite off more than I can chew. And I should probably mention the Rotrex supercharger kit I got. I'm not going to be running it with an aftermarket ECU for simplicity's sake and reliability's sake, just because I don't want to deal with that yet. I got, actually, I have it right here. I got fuel and timing cards that just plug into the stock ECU. So it's like 90% of the performance, but it's just much easier. So that's kind of what I'm doing with that right now. Sport, yes, I want to buy a Miata. I want to buy preferably NA, but NB will be my second option. I want a Miata because it's a perfect driver's car. I'm assuming that's the reason you got yours. Overrated or underrated? I don't know what perfect driver's car, but in my biased opinion, yeah, it's kind of a perfect driver's car just because it's also affordable and it kind of just does the core of what you want it to do. It's nothing too excessive, which also means it kind of like keeps the weight down. Is that the reason you got yours? Basically, yeah. I heard all of that. I kind of like heard all the car forums, and everyone kind of circles back to just get a Miata. It's cheap and it handles well, and it's just the essence of what a good handling, engaging car should be. And I have found that to be very true. I will say I haven't driven many other sports cars yet. Just driven a handful, like a Boxster, a 911 for a test drive, so it doesn't even count. There's a couple others I'm forgetting. So the overrated part also depends on the price. Like people used to, I think, to recommend it a lot just because it was like $2,000, but nowadays they're way more expensive. I will also say regarding price, I started my search for a Mariner Blue NA. But I ended up getting an NB because I realized with how prices have changed, the NA and the NB are essentially the same car, right? Like underneath the hood. A lot of it is the same. The chassis is very similar, and the NB was like kind of an upgraded version. And I realized the NB is objectively a better car, but the NA is more expensive, basically because of the pop-ups and the kind of classic appeal of the design. So I ended up getting an NB because it was a better car for cheaper than the NA. So that's something to kind of think about if you're comparing the two. Um, oh man, I guess I'm just gonna give super long answers for everything. But yeah, I mean, if you can afford it, and also if you understand that you're buying an older car and there's gonna be stuff you have to put time and some money into, it's well worth it. It's probably the most fulfilling hobby I've ever had, and I've had way too many. Is anyone running super pro bushings? Hopefully someone can pop in about that because I am not. Did I adjust the ride height? No, I actually left the stock Tecna ride height in, because I was always scraping. I started scraping the front bumper on my driveway at the house I was living at the time, so I couldn't go any lower, and but it was like it was barely scraping it, so I decided to just keep it as is. And I have since scraped the bottom of the car at like the speed bump at my grocery store on occasion if I go too fast. So I'm just keeping the ride height at whatever it comes preset because Super Miata mentions that they do preset the height. It's not just random, and you can always adjust it from there. What are my pinch weld height? Let me literally measure it. Where did my tape measure go? Promise if I don't find the tape measure in like 20 seconds, I'm gonna have to report back later. How does one just lose their tape measure like this? What is happening? Okay. I'm gonna have to circle back about the pinch weld ride height because where would I put it? Give me one more minute. I'll be back. Dude, I'm so sorry, but I lost my I comment on one of my videos anywhere and I'll get back to you about the pinch weld height. Sorry. You can use this, I would highly recommend finding a local group. So yeah, so you need to let it settle. That's part of the reason I didn't adjust it immediately is because I didn't know how much it would settle or how much it would change. So I put it on, found that it was almost as low as it can go. drove it for a few hundred miles. It was still like okay-ish for a daily if I were to daily it. So I kind of just left it at that and got an alignment. Realistically, how long do I think I'll own my Miata for? That is kind of like the crazy big unknown. I just don't see myself getting rid of it. I feel like the only way I could ever get rid of it is if my financial situation changed and I could afford some sort of dream car, like any like cool Porsche. But even then, like, I don't know. This car means way more to me because it's more than just like a really cool car. Like if I could afford a GT3, that's cool, but this is the more meaningful car that I've put so much time and effort into. And I feel like it's still a very like minimalist approach to a car. It has the essence of what is right and it doesn't have anything more. So you kind of combine both of those, and then like the unique color that is like kind of become something that people have recognized and even my friends recognize, and it kind of just fits in my life well. I have like a daily driver, like an electric car, and then I have this on the weekends and like the evenings, and it does everything I need to. But I don't know, like if something comes up that I'm forced to, like if I don't have room for it, maybe, but I really don't see myself getting rid of it. Um, Betting it's 4.5 inches, you generally want like a half-inch rake. Probably. I don't understand why I cannot find my tape measure, but that sounds about right. Um, yeah. Okay, it looks like I got a second. If anyone's joining, welcome. This is my like fourth attempt at live streaming today, but I think I finally got it. Dude, where the hell would this go? And I own 2 tape measures too. But yeah. One thing I am kind of wondering about is when I finish supercharging it, if I ever end up moving to like California or something, I don't know the legality of the kit because it's not carb legal. I don't know if if I'm gonna run through headaches with like trying to keep it registered in state. Yeah. Next step is Porsche, but like who wants to deal with Porsche repair costs when the Miata is so cheap? Yeah, that's kind of part of it. I'm kind of even if I could afford expensive cars, which I can't right now, or yeah, it's more so like how much money am I even willing to spend for car? Like just putting into cars. I feel like the Miata gives me everything I would want, and the fact that it is so cheap relative to everything else actually like adds to the value for me, where I just feel good that I'm getting so much value out of relatively so little money. Because if you go to like a Porsche, like you're putting in so much more money, and then you have to ask yourself, what are you getting in return for that? If it's like a daily driver, yeah, but if I was getting a Porsche as a daily driver, I would still have the Miata as a sidecar. I think it ended up selling on the higher end of 5K if I remember right. That sounds about right. I got mine for 6K with the hard top included, but also high mileage at 221,000. And then when I went through the totaling out process, insurance came out to that exact same value, 6.1K. So that sounds about right. But yeah, like when a Miata is like this is like 5,000-6,000, like you have to really want a Porsche to like put so much more money to get that next step. So yeah, I really like Porsches. Like they're kind of like a dream car, but like I don't really have interest to spend money on anything like that. You will run into issues. Yep, that was my concern. You would need a carb legal kit. I think Flying Miata sells them. Yeah, so the problem is it's a track dog racing supercharger kit. So it's not just Yeah, I would have to just remove the supercharger. If I keep the car, I would have to essentially remove the supercharger and swap it for a turbo kit, which is not something I have interest in doing right now. So yeah, that's my one major concern is I don't know how that will work out. Um, I guess, do you know if that'll be an issue if does California have the same law about like a car being an antique car if it's 25 years or older where emissions don't apply? Or is that just like a rest of the US thing? Or is that just a Texas thing? I don't actually know. That's my only hope is if you can tell me that if it's 25 years or older, it'll get a free pass because it's 23 years old now. So if I move to California in like 5-ish years, I would be good. But yeah, that's realistically, that's the only issue I'm expecting to run into with keeping the car is if I move there. How do I budget for parts? Oh boy, I don't. I guess I'm asking how you handle your finances to budget for fun stuff. Um, there's no way you can budget for parts for like like a project fun car. If you're just trying to like maintain it, then probably yeah. But I think the problem is it becomes kind of like a drug where you quickly realize that you actually would enjoy putting money into the car and upgrading it more than just maintaining it. And that's where the danger lies. That's kind of like what happened to me. Um, when I just like I've said in all the videos, like I just want to learn how to tinker on the car. I just want to get a little bit of knowledge of what it's like to kind of like do maintenance and what like learn about that. And then less than 3-4 weeks into owning the car, I went and I bought the Tecnas, and that was like 12 or 15. Oh, 1975. Yeah, I had a feeling it was something like that. Back to the budgeting for cars. I don't budget for the cars, though. I try to be as financially responsible as I can. And the way I've kind of been approaching it is I've been quite frugal for a couple of years. And this is the one hobby where I'm kind of letting myself splurge a little because I'm getting so much in return. But yeah, that's kind of the one part I don't like about the car hobby is it pushes your finances way more than you were probably initially comfortable for. Um, but I think like the best way you can control that is buy a car that you know is going to be relatively cheap to work with. Like if I don't know, if I bought like a 20-year-old Cayman and I got into upgrading it, that's going to be a whole different story. If I got into like, I don't know what else is there. I mean, like if you buy like a GTR and you start upgrading it, or you buy like a nice like an M3 or something, you know that you're going to always be spending like 2-3 times per part compared to what you would with a Miata, right? So there's stuff like that where just the fact that I entered in with like a low budget car, I know will always kind of keep it low enough. But yeah, there's no way to reasonably budget for it. If you really want to like do what I'm doing, put all your free time into it, and then try and grow a YouTube channel, and then try and use that to get brand deals, which is kind of what I'm starting to get to do now. But even then, you're paying with your time. So there's that. But I hope that answered your question. I don't think it did. I think I just used it as an excuse to talk a lot. But yeah. 1975 and older. Yeah, so I don't know how I could survive in California with the supercharged car. I don't know if there's ways that people skirt the law by like getting it registered in a different state every year. I don't know. Thank you. Yeah, so the next or the video after the next video is actually going to be a bit of a garage renovation video. I guess I can give you all a sneak peek if I know how to use. Oh, there we go. So the floors are white now, completely white. I mean, I have moving blanket here 'cause I'm working with some stuff, but it's completely white floors, and then I got a lot of lighting going on. So I've been working a lot on upgrading the setup. And then I also did a couple more things here. with like building some shelving and cleaning it up. And my plan is to also paint all of that white, including like the gray electrical panel here. And I already painted my workbench white. So my plan is to just get it all white and clean up the floor, anything that's left on it, and just have some nice bright lights. So it's a video in progress right now. Can always take the supercharger off before smog. That's what I was thinking. It's so old it's toast. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know anything about how long catalytic converters are emission. What's the word I'm looking for? Are good enough for emissions, or at what point they just become too old and like, I guess not great. But yeah, that was my best uneducated guess, was I could find a way to disable the supercharger kit. Do they look under your hood, or do they literally just actually like measure emissions? Because if they're just measuring emissions, I bet it wouldn't be that hard to disconnect the supercharger. Because I mean, I feel like I feel like all you would have to do is disconnect the fuel and timing cards, because it still has a stock ECU. Swap out the fuel injectors. Just measure emissions. So I feel like if I just swap out, like disconnect the fuel and timing cards, because I'm on the stock ECU, and then I swap out the fuel injectors back to like the stock ones, which I don't know, takes like 20-30 minutes, and then disconnect the intake. I feel like that actually would be possible. Is it every year that they measure the emissions, or is it like every 2 years or something? Shiny grass. Love the videos, man. Thank you. I put all my free time into it. Assuming your Miata is your only car. No. What would be your ideal daily driver? I have been thinking about the daily driver thing for a while. It's kind of like a fun fantasy to rethink, well, if I started over, what car would suit all my needs? But the Miata is my second car. My daily driver is a Tesla Model Y Performance, which is parked outside the garage right now. It just does everything I need. It's pretty cheap to run because it's electric. I don't have to fill gas. It's quiet. It does everything I need. But then when I actually want to feel something, that's what the Miata's for. And I really like that combo because it's such a contrast in types of cars that I get like kind of both ends of that spectrum. But sometimes I do kind of fantasize about, oh, well, if like I didn't buy the Tesla, like what would I get? And it's like, I don't know. Maybe I would look into getting like a 10-year-old Cayman. So like I kind of fantasize about, oh, what if I could maybe like buy a 10-year-old Cayman, put some really high quality coilovers on it, wheels and tires, and a nice sound system, and that could be a cool daily driver. I've been thinking about that a lot, but it doesn't make sense right now because I already have like my cars. But I think ideal daily driver would be some sort of mid-level, like mid-spec Cayman. It's what I'm kind of thinking right now. And I've rented a Cayman or a Boxster for a day before, and I really enjoyed that. But that's kind of where my head's at with ideal daily drivers. But I don't know. It could always change. It's kind of the fun part about cars. You can always like fantasize about so many things in so many different combinations. But that was kind of one thought I had, is especially if the Miata becomes like a 100% track car, then just do that. Just measure emissions and OBD. So yeah, I was thinking about that before. Yeah, so that's what I was talking about. Shiny grass. Any advice for starting a YouTube channel? This is the comment I have been waiting to get. This is the kind of comment that I ask on every other person's channel. Every time I pop on, like I was on Jinjium's live stream like a month or two ago, and I was asking any advice. Let's see. I talked about all that, but I didn't actually even prepare an answer. I kind of have two kinds of advice. One of them, I guess I have two pieces of advice that I'd recommend you take in parallel. One is I've really been on this drive with this quote that I heard like a year ago called that said you can't drive a parked car. And that kind of helped a lot with my decision paralysis. The idea being you're not getting anywhere if you're not even moving. Like you have to be moving before you can actually steer the car where you're going. And I used to always want to make a YouTube channel since I was like 17. Like I was always like trying to be a professional musician. So I figured it would be like music related, drums or guitar or something. Um, but I always kind of fantasized about what my ideal videos would look like, and that kind of gave me decision paralysis, and I never made anything. And when I kind of found that quote, that got me thinking that I just need to be doing something, and the more you do something, the more you practice it, the more you'll actually start to find your way. You'll start to find how to actually get better at stuff, and you'll start to figure out what it is that you're going to be doing. Or what, like if you just have an idea of like I want to start a car channel, just start making the videos, just start making them, and then as you go you'll start realizing, oh, this is my voice, or this is the narrative that I'm interested in more. I'm going to slowly start getting into that. But I realized like unless you iterate, it's hard to get anywhere. My other kind of related my other piece of advice is figure out who you are, and don't try too hard to be like everyone else, because it's just not going to stand out enough, and it's probably not going to connect enough with other people. So those are kind of my, I guess, two things is focus on who you are, what kind of unique voice that you can give that would stand out and get people's attention in an authentic way. And the other part is just keep iterating, even if you don't know where you're at or what you're trying to do. Just keep iterating. The more you iterate, the more you practice, the more you'll get there. The more you'll figure it out. So that's kind of my long-winded answer for that. I hope that kind of makes sense. It's kind of something I've thought about quite heavily for the past year, and I've been thinking about trying to make a video to kind of cover that idea, but I never figured, I wasn't really confident that it fit in with the channel anymore because everything has got so car specific. Yo, I recognize that username. What's up? Miata will teach us all about momentum. They really are a momentum car, yeah. Um, yeah, to kind of add to that idea, like need some momentum, then the pieces will slowly fall in place. It's almost like not, I think to add on to that idea, the pieces will never all fall in place at the same time. Only certain parts will fall in place at one at a time. But if you do your work to put the rest of the pieces in place, when that last one falls, it will click. If that makes any sense. So if you put in the work, you've put in most of those pieces and you just need a few pieces to fall and you'll be on your way. How's it going? Pretty good. I have not been happy that I haven't really been making videos for the past 4 or 5 weeks. But I've kind of been like making one or two long-term videos. I think one long-term, like renovating this garage, which you can't do in one weekend. So like I was mentioning earlier, I got white floors, way better lighting, and I'm kind of putting some more organization on the wall and then gonna paint it white. But otherwise pretty all right. I really more than ever want to make YouTube my full-time job at one day. So maybe I'll get there. But yeah, how are you, man? If you made another YouTube channel for your music stuff, I'd definitely subscribe. I actually already have that. Can I enter my own live stream and then put the link in chat? Is that an option? Well, if you go to any of my recent videos and you go dig through my really long description, you'll find links to 3 other YouTube channels that I have that are not active. This is kind of something I've been trying to figure out for a long time, and if anyone here was on my channel like a year ago, you would probably remember that I had a lot more other like unrelated videos, unrelated to cars, that I finally just made private. And I've been trying to figure out if I'm gonna go all into car YouTube or if I'm gonna split my focus and still find a way to make music video or music related YouTube videos, film photography videos, and software or tech project related videos. So in the meantime, I made 3 new channels for that and re-uploaded those old videos there. But I haven't done anything with it because I'm trying to focus on just putting all my eggs in this basket and like going all in on this one thing, which is the car YouTube channel. So they're for now they're linked in the description of all my stuff. I think it's called indulgent.music, because that's my solo music project name. But yeah, how's it going? If you made another music channel, doing good. Still haven't got the XJ. Oh yeah, man, dude. Like, take your time. Don't push your budget. I feel like car people don't talk about that enough. Like, take care of your finances first as well. You gotta buy at the right time. With the amount of cars do you think you'd own at one time? If you had the finance to support it, I'd like to think I'd cap out at 6. Holy shit. I'm up to 4 now and can't see myself parting with them. Yeah, that's part of my fear is I don't want to get to a point where I'm holding on to everything. I don't know. I mean, I feel what's the most amount of cars do you think you'd own at one time? I feel like it's probably 3. I feel like 3 is the perfect number, and I forgot where I saw someone talking about this. I don't remember if it was like Jason Camisa or like a Doug DeMuro podcast, but they were talking about, or it might have been Vintra on the Smoking Tire podcast. I forget which, but the idea of like a daily driver that's just focused on being comfortable and can also maybe haul some stuff or tow a trailer. A sports car kind of, how do I put it? A practical daily, the fun daily, and then like a more performance like track weekend car. So like the comfortable daily could be like a nice SUV that has a lot of power and can tow stuff, or a truck, which I'm not personally interested in, but could work for like most people. The fun daily would be like the actual real daily, which would be like a Cayman. It's practical enough for daily driving, but like the 2% of the time it's not. You have your massive hauler, your truck, or like your minivan or whatever it is that holds everything and is comfortable, or you road trip in. And the third being like kind of you go all in, like a Miata track car. Um, that's kind of where I'm at. I don't really see a use case for myself beyond like 3. Um, I do used to joke when I was younger that one of my dream cars is a used police auctioned Black Crown Vic. Just because I think it'd be funny to like have a used cop car that just looks like a cop car everywhere you go, and you can kind of like mess with people and just see how like people just slow down wherever you are, kind of just for fun. Um, but yeah, I wish like miniature trucks were a thing, like K trucks but new, or even just K trucks. Like that would give me a lot of practicality. If I could buy like what is effectively a K truck or an actual K truck for like 2-3 thousand to just haul stuff, and then have my normal daily and then a Miata, like that would be a pretty much a 3 car setup that I would be able to do today. Um, Adding to that, name the cars. Dude, the way my life is right now, I would just it doesn't make any practical sense, but name the cars. I would right now just keep the Tesla Model Y. It just does everything that I need and it's comfortable. And then I would buy some sort of mid-spec stick shift Cayman as like the fun daily. And then keep the Miata as like a track car, as a weekend car that I can also afford to get more track heavy with, since I already have the Cayman that's like a fun sports car. I think in the meantime, if you don't want to burn a lot of money, you got to have a 3rd car you cycle. Buy, drive, then resell after a year. Yeah, I've kind of thought about that. And I was kind of, I guess, initially hoping the 2 car setup would work like that. Like keep my daily and then the fun sports car can rotate. But 3 cars just feels very impractical. Like it doesn't make sense and I don't have the need for it right now at all. I'd kind of just rather save that money. Um, So that's kind of where I'm at. But I mean, you never know. If I get like super heavy into cars, that would be fun. But I also only have a one car garage, which I'm in right now, and I'm like 2 feet from my car, and that's like all that fits in here. So, and we get a lot of hail in Texas, so that's not fun. What do you do for work? I'm a software engineer, so I do a lot of like front end web development. Um, I actually like in my free time used to do like more creative web development. Like I have my own website where I just like get to have like fun building website, like building out the front end, trying to make it more interesting and add some animations and stuff like that. But at work, it's more like I do a lot of work with building out front ends for websites and then focusing a lot on making them like mobile friendly. So not only is the website a website, but it adapts to the screen size, which is a lot of work. And then lately, a lot of my work is also making them accessible. So complying with a lot of like ADA laws so that blind people can use the website, which means when you build the website, you don't just build it, but you add a lot of syntax and a lot of like metadata to explain what the website is so that people who are blind or visually impaired, even like partially, can navigate the website. So that's kind of like what I'm specifically been doing for the past few years. But yeah, software development, fun stuff. Any interest in motorcycles? Nope. I respect it, but the Miata is the most risk I'm willing to take on a road. I have a lot of other hobbies I enjoy too, and I don't like the idea of any other hobby putting me at such a risk that I can't enjoy the rest of them. So, but I know like there's a huge overlap between like Miata and motorcycle people. How worried about are you about AI taking your job? Zero. It is not that great at it. Um, yeah, that's the best way I can put it. There's a lot more work that goes into software development than just writing code. There's a lot of managing the product, understanding business needs, understanding if one kind of feature is needed, how you need to make changes across maybe 7 different apps to work together. There's a lot more than just writing code. So for that reason, it's not going to take it over. But I'm kind of curious to see if it'll happen. What I think what will happen is that my job description or people with my job, their description will be less about writing code, but more about moving up a higher level where you may be able to use AI to do like the menial coding tasks, and then now you can achieve more. It's kind of my thought on it, but I am pretty pessimistic about AI, and I say that because I also run into it a lot at work, and it is not. It's a very niche thing. Didn't expect to be talking about AI today, but here we are. What are your other hobbies beside the Miata and music? Um, so everyone becomes an architect. I'll get to that in a second. That's kind of funny. What are your other hobbies besides Miata and music? Um, I've been playing, well, to add to the music, I've been playing guitar since I was 10 years old. And my goal in life forever was to be a full time rock musician. And then I picked up drums and bass guitar and started singing. And then I started just recording it all myself. And that would become like I would just write the songs and record it all myself in a studio. So that's kind of like my music hobby. And then I've drummed in a ton of bands. I also got really into film photography during college, and I kind of made it like my minor degree. So creative, like artistic photography, like creating photo collections. I made 2 photo collections during college. One kind of documenting the house I was living in, and another documenting how dreary the computer science department I was studying in kind of felt. So music, film photography, and then kind of like creative software. Um, like I did a lot of work with like Arduinos, Raspberry Pis, coding addressable LED strips, coding a little bit of like computer graphics for fun with processing or P5JS. Basically getting into like interactive tech art, I guess. Or there's a lot of words for that world now, like new media art or like transmedia art. They kind of all mean the same thing. So I got really into that. Um, Like at one point I built like a little light installation with LED strips where you can code each pixel, and I coded animations to match the weather, and then I connected that board to the internet, and then every time the weather actually changed, it would keep polling to see what the actual weather was outside, and it would play my animations inside on an LED strip. And I called that The World Misses You. So I made a video documenting that, and then I displayed it I actually got the opportunity to display it at an art gallery. So like I did stuff like that for a couple of years on and off. Um, I have a really tiny one on my website where if you click a button, it'll literally turn on an LED strip. It'll blink one at my desk upstairs, which is kind of like a fun interactive way that people on my website can like interact with me physically. So kind of exploring stuff like that. Um, and then beyond that, like I have had small hobbies here or there, but those are like the three plus cars being the fourth hobbies that have kind of persisted throughout my life. Um, yeah. So everyone becomes an architect. I guess kind of, but not that high level immediately. I feel like it'll be a middle ground between just a junior dev and a software architect where, I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know what I'm talking about at this point. I'm kind of jaded by AI and the hype around it because I keep running into like, practically it doesn't make a lot of sense for most things, but once in a while for niche things it'll function very well. But that's just kind of a thought I've had in the past like 2 weeks. It's not like I haven't thought that much about it, but maybe like the more that humans have got better tools, it hasn't just solved problems, but it enabled humans to do more at a higher level. So that's where that thinking comes from. When we got computers, it wasn't like, okay, well, now all of our problems are solved. It became, well, now what can we do with this bigger tool? So I feel like once it takes over, if it takes over, like menial coding tasks, it might open up developers and engineers to build stuff at a higher level and then start to build bigger things. I feel like that cycle is just never ending. Yeah, that's my thought on that one. Any chance you'll play us something on the guitar? Probably not now. I am not confident the audio is going to work out well. But maybe. Maybe sometime soon. Your film hobby really shows in your videos. I like the way you edit and present them. Thank you. Yeah, that's kind of like been my one of my goals since I started is trying to figure out what would be different about my voice or the way I show or tell a story that no one else is doing. Um, is that my grandma? Hi. Hello. Oh my God. Um, that's so funny. Um, Yeah, so what I was trying to do is I don't want to make like a normal car channel. I don't want it to actually be about cars technically, realistically. I want it to be more about the storytelling. And that way I don't build my whole channel about cars. It would keep the door open for me to mildly pivot to anything else in the future because I would be getting people to stay not for the car content, but for my voice, if that makes sense. And working with like film cameras and like film photography, I'm always trying the best I can, being the person who's recording and the subject, to try and make them a little bit more visually interesting or just I'm always seeing if I can lean on the fact that I might have a slightly different background than a lot of people in that space. And so I'm pretty happy to hear that that actually does come across at times. I'm also incredibly fed up with the AI as an IT tech. Yep. Of course, it's dumber in a lot of ways. It's not the dumber thing for me. It's just I keep running into people trying to it's a solution looking for a problem. I keep running into that situation where people are trying to shoehorn it into stuff that don't even need it and are way more effective without it. So, but at the same time, I guess you wouldn't know the use case, how it could be useful unless you force it in. I don't know, but yeah, I'm sure a lot of people in tech are kind of, actually, I know a lot of people are. I follow a couple of subreddits about that, subreddit like developer subreddits, and it's interesting to kind of see the discourse on that. How do you stay motivated to make videos? I tried to start a channel, but it's so depressing getting 2 views. LOL. I ended up feeling cringe AF. Must be a real passion for you. There's a couple ways that I stay motivated. But I think the primary one is kind of, I always wanted to be a musician as a kid. And all the way up until like 2, 3 years ago, I pushed really hard on that. But it just never happened. And a lot of that is like mistakes I made with not seeing projects fully through. If I finished up an album, which I did, I made 2.5. I never once made a music video, and I never put in the equal amount of effort to try and get an actual live band together to perform them to have a chance to get any traction. And then I got a little into like software, creative software projects, and I never really pushed them that hard, which was fine. And then I got into film photography, and I made a couple of film collections, and a lot of things about that hobby seemed pretty promising for me, but I never went anywhere with it. And I'm at a point where I am just, I know I have a lot of skills, but I see other people who have the same amount of skills or even less do better than me. And I feel like, and I know a lot of that is because I keep spreading myself thin. And I don't see projects through all the time. And I get decision paralysis quite a lot. Kind of going back to that quote I found about you can't steer a parked car. You have to be iterating for you to even have a chance to figure out what direction you're going. Otherwise, you're not gonna get anywhere. And all of that kind of thinking on that, and a little bit of almost like a feeling of regret of I didn't ever go all in on the one hobby, and I spread myself too thin all the time, has kind of built up into this extremely strong motivation for me to see one thing through. And I think YouTube is the best chance I've ever had at that. Not even like car YouTube, but just the idea of YouTube as a platform, the way it handles distribution for me and the way it connects with people and the way that I'm putting stuff where people are. A lot of times with music, you're trying to send it to friends like you should take a listen. But if they're not really into that, they're not going to listen to it to begin with. But I feel like it gives me a great opportunity to connect with a lot of people. And I finally started making car videos for the fun of it, and they weren't that great to start, but I tried to iterate as fast as I could, and it started getting somewhere. I started getting traction, and at the same time, I started figuring out a little bit of my voice. And that has also, it's become circular where I have that built up regret, feeling of regret from like almost 10 years of things just not going anywhere. And if something doesn't go somewhere now, it never will, because there's only so much free time I'm going to have in like the next 15 years as I become like an adult. So I think like that's kind of the core motivation. So depressing getting 2 views. Yeah, I know that's kind of hard. I'm feeling, so I was kind of looking at, I went into it with no expectations at all. So I wasn't trying to make videos with the core goal of getting views, but I was focused more on like, I just want to kind of treat this as practice. I want to see what kind of works, but I want to develop myself as I'm going, and removing that expectation of what views I got, but instead focusing on the content I'm creating, I think made it where I started making better content, and at the same time, I was less susceptible to burnout because I wasn't so focused on the views themselves, if that makes sense. I could have got 0 views for the first few videos, and I wouldn't have cared because I was just so focused on the type of content and the quality of content I was making. And I think that removed a lot of pressure, because if at the end of the day you enjoyed what you made, you enjoyed the process of making it, and you feel like you learned something out of it, that's a win in my book, right? So I kind of approached it with that mindset, and then views slowly started to follow. And then as views came in, I started to learn more about like the algorithm, and then only then I kind of got into like, well, how do these views work? But yeah, find the passion within yourself, and just keep going with that, and then also always be looking to adapt. It's kind of how I would summarize that. What kind of videos do you make? I'm kind of curious if I can give any thoughts on that. Live stream today. But yeah, if you're just joining, doing my first live stream after like 30 minutes of trying to get it going. Tried some demoing my Jupyter notebooks. What is that? Is that like a tech thing? Why does that sound familiar? Probably develop open source code. What do you mean demoing the notebooks? I'm not familiar with what that means or looks like. But then our way to interweave code and console outputs in groups and then comment with Markdown. Yeah, I don't think I fully understand that. I'm kind of curious now. It's funny, I used to push super hard with music just like you and started posting shorts and found a lot of joy in creating real quick stuff and get decent views. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, like that. Let's see. To push and start posting music, found a lot of joy in creating real quick stuff. Yeah, that, like creating real quick and getting decent views. That's kind of also the fun that I've discovered with YouTube being the distribution service. You don't have to think about it. You just have to work on, you can put all your effort into just creating and not distributing. I mean, there's always going to be distributing work later on, but yeah. How's the repair going? Slow. I'm trying to learn how to repair the car by myself for the first time. Like, I've never done that before. And film it as I go, which also slows things down. And then I'm also trying to think about what is the story I'm telling. And then in the story, I'm still trying to figure out how to even work on the car and not mess up the car. And then for certain parts of repair, you have to have tools prepped. Like, I need a welder right now, and I'm having a fun time trying to get an electrician to give me a quote to install a plug. So you have to line up so much for me to like make these videos, because they're so physical. It's not like I'm just like telling a story or talking, but I'm setting up a lot of physical stuff. So it's been tough, and then I have my job on top of that. But it's coming along. Next job is going to be welding it, which I'm pretty comfortable doing. And then after that, I found a local paint booth for rent. So that will be quite interesting, seeing on camera, learning how to paint for the first time. It's a way to present code in an interactive way. I did some tutorials on reinforcement learning. Interesting. Then I guess my thought to you about your YouTube channel is, what are you doing? If you're really focused on like views and success, what are you doing that would make someone want to stay? What is so different about it or informative about it that provides value to people? I guess that's kind of like my thought. Because that is kind of one thing I learned pretty early on, is people are always trying to click off the video, and you need to make sure it's always entertaining and kind of providing value, I guess. I don't know. That's kind of like one thought I had. So much less work than designing artwork, writing songs, and recording all on my own. Oh, I see. Like, instead of doing a traditional like music career, it's kind of like a music like YouTuber career. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, that's kind of, I kind of find that pretty interesting, how that is a career and a form of a lot of hobbies that are starting to like form on the internet. It's pretty interesting. Like, there's a drummer, what is it? El Estepario, who is just a YouTube drummer. I mean, he basically does that. Like he basically makes shorts, but they go like viral. And he's figured out how to nail that genre, and he doesn't even need to be in a band. He doesn't need to have a traditional music career anymore. He's kind of like paved his own path with like the tools we have today. So I think that's pretty interesting, and that stuff always gets so much hate at the beginning too, which is kind of tough. Um, what's his name? Ella Stepario. Is that his full name, or does he use more to that? But that's the first thought that comes to my mind uh, when you kind of mention that. But yeah, I mean, like, he has 5 million subscribers. If I go through his shorts on YouTube, they're all averaging like, I don't know, 400, 500,000 each. I think he might be in a band, but it doesn't even matter anymore. He's just known for this, and he's like gamified it and he's figured it out. And I think that's really cool. But I like, I love. It's always amusing to see him come up in like the drumming subreddit where people will like give him crap about like he's not a real drummer. He just overplays. But it's like, well, that's the point. That's what he's figured out. If he overplays in a certain way, that gets views and that gets attention, and that's interesting to people. If he played normally, like good musically in a short, it wouldn't do well. So I think it's kind of cool that he's kind of pioneered that, and it's kind of making it work. But yeah, that's cool that you're doing that. Or I guess also, what kind of genre do you do? Ever heard of Streetlight Manifesto? No, I have not. Let's see. Streetlight Manifesto. Ska punk band from Jersey in 2002. Interesting. Sold out Rutgers. Here I am just reading their Wikipedia page. Nah, man, nothing can make my ears bleed. I like metal. Like, how bad? Oh, wait, is this kind of like, what's that band, like Primus? That's just kind of like wacky. Is that what you mean by like make your ears bleed? Oh, horror punk. Okay, I kind of get what you're talking about. No, I don't listen to them. I've never actually heard of them. My taste is rooted in like Warp Tour metal. Well, it's like earlier taste was rooted in like 90s alt rock, like Red Hot Chili Peppers, Nirvana. And then like later in middle school, I got into like Warp Tour metalcore. Um, so like, dude, like Slipknot, Deftones, which is not Warp Tour, but still 90s. Bring Me the Horizon, Pierce the Veil, Sleeping with Sirens, which I don't listen to that much anymore. Of Mice and Men, like that kind of older stuff. Like this week, all I've listened to is We Came as Romans. Dude, yeah, Slipknot. I saw them live for the first time. I got the shirt there last fall. Yeah, last fall, which is their first tour with Eloy Casagrande as their drummer. He's possibly my new favorite drummer, and he's like the main reason I like got back into Slipknot for a moment. So yeah, dude, like Slipknot, some good stuff. I love you too, James. Don't know what's up with that, but I will take it, I guess. Either Slipknot so good, it must have been sick. Yeah, Eloy Casagrande is such a phenomenal drummer. I've been on a huge like drumming kick like last year, kind of getting back into the hobby. And Eloy Casagrande and Two from Sleep Token are like my two new favorite drummers that were like re-inspiring me a lot. Because I kind of got a little tired of like Dave Grohl. I think has always been my favorite drummer, but he's not moving anywhere with he's kind of done with his drumming career realistically. And here's something fresh that kind of got me thinking about new ideas was pretty fun. But yeah, seeing Eloy, like, I honestly, like, I love Slipknot, but I went to that show to see Eloy. And, like, I took one picture in the front lobby, and that was just with the Eloy picture and his mask on. And then all of my videos of, like, the show are just me, like, zooming in on him, like, doing a nasty drum solo. Like, that was the show for me. But that was crazy because they're pretty old. It was like their 25th anniversary tour. I don't think it was the band's anniversary. I think it was like the self-titled album anniversary or something. But they're old, this was only my first time seeing them, but yeah, it was sick as hell. But yeah, if anyone's joining, I guess we're talking about music now. One of my OG favorite hobbies. Don't know why I said that, but I did. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of ska. The closest thing I'm kind of into, which is not really that close, is like funk. Just because the early Chili Peppers music got me into that. Like, what is it, funk rock or like funk punk? But yeah. Man, I'm so relieved this live stream worked. I suffered for half an hour trying to get it working to start. Do you all have like project cars, or are you? I'm kind of curious now. Yeah. Why are y'all here? Do you like, or why do you all watch me? Are you like doing similar stuff, or are you enjoying just being along for the journey and like living it out? Like that was kind of how I was like, Donuts Money Pit is kind of what I have to credit with me like getting into this. And I would watch that just because I wanted to. I didn't have the means and I wasn't that committed to it, but it was fun to like be along for the journey. I have an NB1. Hell yeah. I have an MB and I found your videos relatable. Hell yeah. John Flanders. I recognize your username. I've seen you before. Okay, cool. So everyone's just an NB owner. I'm sure that's not actually the case, but I love to imagine that is true. My best friend is trying to join, and he doesn't have the link. I'm scared to send him the link, but gonna send him the link. Got a 17 Impreza Sport, CVT, but fun enough. My sister has a 2016 Forester, not Sport, just Forester. I live 3 because I've been wanting Miata for a long time, and I love the fact that you make your own music for the videos. Thank you. I've kind of been thinking about phasing my own music out because I feel like it doesn't always work with it. And I want to see if I can hit a bit more of a mainstream audience while making the same style of content. And I feel like using more like almost like background music where it kind of blends into the background better works better. And then I feel like a lot of like, I don't know, maybe I'm just overthinking my music fitting with it, but I felt like a lot of like the harsh, like distorted electric guitars and the cymbals are in the same frequencies as my voice or just in general people's voices. And so when I do like a narration, if I'm like doing a voiceover or if I'm talking in the video, that I feel like it kind of like would clash a little too much. So I've been kind of like slowly experimenting with kind of just using like softer electronic music that's in a totally different frequency. And that's actually why like my best friend who I just sent the video link to, so I don't know if he's here, I've been kind of playing with using some of his electronic music that he made. So if you've been hearing a lot, if you've been noticing like the music lately, it's kind of like 50-50 with like my rock music where it fits. And then where I want a bit more like chill background or like lo-fi kind of feeling where I'm using like his stuff. Got my NB1 last year. Found your channel because of the main Fuse videos. Are you talking about that time that my car like died and I had to like figure out that it was fine, that I was pulling out all the fuses? Because I think I had to pull out the main fuse to finally figure out that it was the alternator. I'm in Dallas. Would be down for meetup. Yeah, man. I'm not doing any meetups now just because I feel like no one's gonna show up. But don't know if it's gonna happen. But I'm trying to see if I can. So Track Dog Racing is hosting an event in Fort Worth at their place on June 1st morning. There's like a Facebook event for I think it's June 1st at 10 a.m. or something. And I'm trying to be there. But the hard part is I would have to drive the Miata on I-35 to get there. And my parents are not really particular about that. They're not happy with the safety aspect of that. So I can't just show up and then be like, I drove here anyway. But I'm trying to go to that track dog racing event on June 1st. So if I'll post something about it if it's like confirmed, but it's like a 50-50 chance I'll be there. And if I'm not, it's still like a cool event if you want to like go and check it out. 100 mana, 1 gorilla. I don't remember if this was like a meme thing. I don't know. And I live under a rock, so I do not know what you're talking about. But I have a feeling I've seen stuff about it. Check out the Miata compilation from Cars and Pyro. Makes me want to mod mine. Okay. I grew up a bit tired of recording punk rock, and I've been doing a couple of tracks. 80 synth electronic. It's all DMCA free if people want to use it too. Yeah, if you want to post a link, I'd be happy to check it out. But yeah, I've kind of been on the same thing, except like I got tired of like making my rock music, and so I decided to pivot to car YouTube. It's just kind of been a little funny for me, but it's been a weird experience. I'd be down for a group ride. I'm in New Jersey. Yeah. If I get enough of a large enough following, I'll definitely see if I can host events, but it would have to be quite a lot more to have some confidence that more than like one person will show up. So in the meantime, I've been thinking that what I may do is just announce if I'm going to be like joining an existing group ride somewhere. That way, it's not just an event for me, but it's just I get to also partake in like someone else's event. But it would be a great opportunity to like hang out with you guys. Yeah, plan on going to the track dog racing event too. Yo, I really want to go. I'm trying to make it work. Plans for a roll bar. Yep, I have to get a roll bar anyway to track the car. You need it for anything other than autocross, and kind of done with autocross right now because the amount of seat you get like 10 minutes of seat time for spending like 8 hours there. So I want to do something that's more worthwhile with my time. So actually, I haven't really told anyone in the audience before, but I guess I want to do like normal track days, but I also want to mess around with rallycross. It just seems like a lot of fun. It's literally autocross, but in dirt. So you kind of just slide around a bunch. It's almost like you're drifting in the dirt and you're just kind of having fun with it. So I think that'd be fun to try out. And obviously for that, you need a roll bar. So yeah, the only reason I didn't get a roll bar yet is because it was very hard for me to figure out which would fit, because I have really long legs, and in like the main, I went down a rabbit hole with like hard dog roll bars and trying to figure out what would work in my car. And the main one that everyone uses is usually like the M2 or the M2 Hardcore, which is just the same thing but thicker. And it seemed like it would get too close to my head, the back of my head, when I like looked at their diagram. And when I was at Track Dog Racing a few months ago, I sat in one of their NBs with the stock seat that had it, and my head was like it was just right there. Like that wasn't gonna work. Just because I have to have the seat all the way back and kind of tilted back, and that just it puts the bar right there. So that's why I didn't pull the trigger yet. I need to figure out what would work. And I think I've settled on the Hard Dog Ace roll bar, where it's a little farther back, but also lower. So I'll have enough space where I won't hit it, but also I will probably have to modify my seating position to be low enough where I pass the broomstick test and my head doesn't stick out above it. So it was hell, like I do a lot of things. I have to like go through a lot to try and make this car work for me, because I'm like at the limit where I can kind of fit, but just barely. I haven't mentioned this in a video before, but I only drive the car barefoot or with my like my thin soled Converse. If I wear my normal boots, I don't fit because my knees hit the steering wheel. So like I'm at that snug of a fit in that car. So I'm seeing if I can maybe like adjust the seating position with like aftermarket seating bracket and seat. But yeah, even inspired me to pivot to making sim racing related YouTube shorts instead. I'm glad to hear that, and I'm glad I'm not the only one making a pivot from like rock music or punk music to like car YouTube content. Rallycross with the NB would be so sweet. That's exactly the point. That's exactly the point. And I found a couple of events in Austin, and like tracking the car sounds like a fun time, and I think I would end up enjoying that more. But that's just like a normal thing. Like everyone does that, and I will definitely do that. But like rallycross, I'd never heard of it before, And when I found it, it was just such like a wild card kind of event where I was just like, that just sounds goofy. Like I have to try that. I have no idea what that's like. So that video, like whenever that happens, it's gonna happen. Like I just the only thing I need to do first is get a roll bar. Once I have a roll bar, I should be good to do that. What was the reaction? Oh, I never really talked about this, have I? What was the reaction of the driver that hit you? Were they apologetic or annoyed? They weren't annoyed. And it was kind of just like an overall like lose-lose situation. It was like a middle-aged woman who just was like, "Oh, dang. Okay." I think she like was kind of just quiet because she also, I don't know if she felt bad or she was just kind of in shock, but she wasn't mean. She was really cooperative. She wasn't annoyed. And I think she immediately like already knew she was at fault. So there wasn't any like there wasn't any animosity. She was just, yeah, insurance, like, oh man, oh boy, sorry, kind of. I don't know how else to describe it, but given that I got hit, it was kind of best case scenario. She cooperated and she didn't even fight the fact that she was clearly guilty. But so that was fun, but it almost felt like she didn't. I mean, she hit my car, so she knew what she had to do, which is just give insurance information, right? But like, I was heartbroken, and I don't think she or realistically any average person on the road would understand that. When I saw that, I was just like, this might actually be the end of the car and my journey with it, and that was killing me. Meanwhile, she's just there like, oh man, I'm so sorry. Here's my insurance. We can hopefully sort this out soon. And I'm like, you don't understand what you've done. So they were cooperative, but also kind of felt bad that like this random like middle-aged woman just kind of got involved in that. But yeah, it was a very muted and just whatever reaction. So I don't know what to make of it. Driving a Miata in Texas sounds like a nightmare. Yep, with all those angry hillbillies and giant lifted trucks. I don't know about that, but yeah, there is an enormous amount of lifted trucks. So I drive. That's also why there's no way. Even if I had like an ND, the newest one, it wouldn't be my daily driver. It's just I'm not comfortable enough, especially on like highway driving. Like I was saying to Dallas, I'm still not sure how to make that work. If I make that drive, it'll be because I started at like 7 a.m. to avoid traffic as much as I can, just for safety's sake. But yeah, I also like learn how to drive quite defensively. I keep my, what is it? It helps that I have a bright car. I wouldn't be comfortable if it was a dark car, at least for me personally. Um, So I drive really defensively. I make sure I'm never in anyone's blind spot. It's at a point too where if I see a lifted truck, I make sure I'm not in front of them. I will like change lanes or like get out of the way and slow down just to make sure there's no risk of getting rear-ended because I can't trust that they can see me properly. And then I realistically only ever take it out on like weekends or evenings when like rush hour is done, so there's not even that much traffic, and I can actually just enjoy it. You went to Track Dog? Yes, I did. What kit is it? It is a Rotrex Supercharger kit. You nailed it. I wish I remembered the exact specs. I don't have it here, but it was I got their smaller kit that they say is safer for stock internals. That way I don't have to go down the rabbit hole of building a forged bottom end, I guess. And I don't really care for crazy power. Like I really want to balance it with reliability because I don't want this to become a nightmare scenario where it's always broken all the time because I decide to do that. But yeah, it's a Track Dog's Rotrex Supercharger kit. It's one of the smaller ones. And then I got like the fuel and timing cards instead of a standalone ECU. So it sacrifices like 5 or 10% of the optimal performance in exchange for just keeping it simple. So that's what I have. It's not installed because I'm trying to get the body work done first. And then I need to pull the engine and do maintenance and to get going with that. And I have never pulled an engine. So that's another like series of videos I have to make as I'm learning. But yeah, I'm really excited for like how it's gonna come out. Really like the way that you film and edit your videos. Oh, hey man, I recognize you. Thanks man. Yeah, I put a lot of time into them, and I think I put too much time into them to the point where the videos just take forever to actually get out. Nice, so road tricks this week. I spoke with Dan. Dan's the man! And ended up picking up a Goodwin Racing 4-to-1 header. He convinced me the road tricks kit is the right way to go for my NBA and my NB too. Yeah. I'm actually not doing a header just because I'm really trying to keep it. I'm trying to not make too many big changes because I'm doing it everything for the first time. But that was what he was recommending I do if I decided to do that. Oh, it's because I'm not doing a standalone. He kind of he told me like that's the way to go if you want the header, but you're not going to get much if you're not going to get that much, I think, if you stick with the fuel and timing cards, but you'll definitely have some gains if you do standalone. Wait, so did you buy the Rotrex kit or were you just getting the header? Either way, like I love Dan, dude. Like I had such a good time. I kind of felt like a little kid just in what's the word? Like in a candy store. Because I was there twice. The first time I was just like, hey, I was kind of interested in your kit, more so like just realized that you're actually kind of local to me. So can I just come by and check out stuff? And they were like, sure. And I had like a blast hanging out with them and just like getting to talk to them and see a lot of car stuff that I usually don't have access to. So that was pretty neat. And then when I actually bought the car and I filmed the actual content in there with that announcement video, it was when I picked it up. And I was supposed to just pick it up on my way to Austin, like when I was stayed in Dallas that night. And I ended up spending, I think, 3 or 3.5 hours just hanging out there. And I had such a good time. But yeah, Dan and Amy are pretty awesome. And I really appreciate that they let me just like hang out and just kind of pick his brain for like 3 hours. Yeah, but I also spent a lot of time researching what I wanted to do in terms of Rotrex versus like turbo, and like I really liked everything that the Rotrex kit is supposed to do and the kind of experience apparently you get out of it. It kind of it lined up really well with what I wanted. So we'll see how that goes. I've been actually daily driving the Miata for like a week and a half because my daily had a flat tire, and that kind of like got me back into it. And like, I can't wait till that thing is not like lethargic anymore to drive around. Make sure you get a cast water pump. Nap Motorsports usually has them. I didn't know about that. I gotta look into that. Is that just so that they can withstand more higher temperatures? I'm making other cooling upgrades. I didn't know there's actually a water pump upgrade, but I'm gonna be getting an aluminum radiator and hopefully a coolant reroute kit as well. Interesting. Now Motorsports makes some pretty good content. Like I've been following them for a bit. Haven't purchased the Road Tricks kit yet. I'll have to save up. Need a header anyway. Factory downpipe is really busted. That's the move, honestly. I like that idea of making an upgrade when the stock part is gone anyway, because it's just like, it doesn't feel like I'm wasting money when I do that, but more so like, well, I needed the new stuff anyway. I might as well just splurge just a little bit more. That's really cool, dude. Like, I did that with my suspension because the car had like 221,000 miles on it. I started to realize that the whole point of me buying this car was like good handling, and I felt like there wasn't that much handling that I know could be there just because it was so crashy. And so when I looked into like repairing the suspension, I realized at that point you might as well upgrade it all the way. And I didn't feel too bad about spending that money since it needed it anyway. Not purchased the road trip's good. Yeah. I pulled the trigger on the Rotrex kit during Black Friday, so that helped a lot. But it took me a while. I had to think about that purchase for a while because it's effectively like anything you do realistically, like forced induction wise, turbo is supercharged. A lot of times with the Miata, it's almost the same price as the car itself. So that was a tough pill to swallow, and I thought about that a lot. And the only reason I actually really pulled the trigger was because the car got totaled and I got paid out almost that much. Like it was like 4,500. So I still had to put a couple more thousand of my own money. But I've been wanting that. I looked into it. I'd already decided if I do anything, the road truck skid is the way I want to go. I'd already talked to Dan about it. And then also it kind of doubles as like it gives me an adventure to go on with this channel. Like now I have some pretty interesting content that I also really want to see it through. Content that I want to see through. So yeah, it's the impeller that's cast. The stamped impeller doesn't last. Well, I am actually glad you brought that up because I haven't pulled out the engine yet. Nat Motorsports, what was it called? Just a cast water pump? Now I gotta look this up so I have it saved. NB Miata cast water pump, Nat Motorsports. Oh, dude, he's out of stock. Is he out of stock? Oh yeah, he's out of stock right now. Okay, I'm gonna keep my eye out on this. Thank you. Yo, what's up? For everyone else who's joining, welcome. It's my first live stream. I am just talking about whatever, just hanging out. My original plan today was to actually try and partially refurbish my Tesla wheels. Oh, jeez. What the hell is that? Oh my god. I have these wheels here that are like way too heavy, like 40 pounds. Oh, jeez. Oh my god, it's so heavy. But my original plan was actually to start working on kind of touching them up and then trying to refurbish them because I'm about to sell them because I just put new wheels on the car. But yeah, I'm just hanging out, answering questions. Yeah. What's up? Did my best friend join or not? Chandler, are you there? Or did you just say you were going to be here, but you're not? Oh, I guess I haven't really told people about that. I got forged wheels on the Tesla. Which is kind of insane. But I don't know if y'all watch Keith Tanner at Flying Miata do his live streams. He talks so much about the value of reducing unsprung mass, and that kind of like got really in my head. And I had the opportunity to downsize my wheels because I got a flat and my tires were gone anyway. So I ended up finding like used forged wheels for not that much more than aftermarket cast wheels. And so I swapped out the wheels on my Tesla last week and I shaved, dude, I feel like Keith Tanner would be so proud. These wheels on the Tesla, let's see here. These right here are 21-inch wheels that are 40, almost 40 pounds each. They're like 38, 39. And I got forged wheels that are like 19.8 pounds. So I shaved almost 80 pounds of unsprung mass off that car. So that was pretty cool. And I'm making a little like funny rant video about that soon, or like it's halfway done now. But I have that and like the garage renovation video on the way. But yeah. I'm curious, do y'all have any other stuff that you want to see me do or talk about, especially? Like anything, like I don't know if there's stuff that people that y'all are like interested to do, but I've already done and you want to know my thoughts or if I liked it or if it was worth it or not. Because I'm thinking about doing some more like, I guess, kind of like advice related videos based on what I've been through. And I'm curious if there's any kind of advice that y'all specifically want to see. Like if spending so much money on like the hobby was worth it, or like if there's specific upgrades that were worth it. Like someone was asking about the Techno suspension before. If you can afford it, that's the move for sure. Stuff like that, because I'm trying to vary or like diversify the content, the style of content I'm making, because I have like the core build videos and I'm thinking about trying to focus a little bit more on like advice or like talking about that. So yeah, I'm kind of curious. What do y'all think? Dude, yeah, the new wheels. I didn't see that coming. When I commented on that because I was, dude, that was like, I don't have the words. Yeah, I'm not even the biggest fan of Steelies, but the fact that they came out with, or they found, I don't know who's making them, but the fact that they're now selling flow formed Steelies for a Miata is just so badass. Like I was nerding out about that because I think he said they were like 12 pounds or something. That's crazy. And that's such a funny idea. And I'm curious to see how well they do because it kind of like for people who aren't even focused on the track, they just want to. A lot of people get wheels like that because they like the look, but then they're obviously sacrificing weight. I don't know. I just thought I was nerding out about that, and I just thought it was such a cool idea and move for them to like put that out there. Um, yeah, I was pretty hyped. It's not my style, but I was honestly just very hyped for the fact that that is a thing now. And it's kind of neat that like not all like flow formed or like high performance wheels have to look that kind of like same high performance way, but that it can also just look more like a normal car, I guess. I feel like it adds appeal to a new like variety of people. Um, but I was kind of curious leading up to that, like what Flying Miata was like going to put out because they were like, we have new wheels, and I was like, okay, what kind of design? And I did not see the Steelies coming out of there. Um, but yeah, I'm very curious to see how that goes. But yeah, I've been in like I have been nerding out about wheels for like the past 2 weeks because I got the flat tire and because I was looking for an opportunity to upgrade the wheels. Now I'm torn. I'll tell you what, just get the what I have. Advanti Storm S1. They're actually lighter than are they lighter? I think they're lighter than the RPF ones, or they're about the same. And I really like how they look, especially if you get like a mild offset. The concavity of it just looks so good. Are you talking to those are exact ones I want to get? Yo, you're talking about my wheels? My wheels are yeah, Advanti Storm S1, and I got the 15 by 8. So like, cause I have the LS trim of the car. My car came with 16-inch wheels, so I downsized to the 15s, which look way better in terms of proportions to the car. Um, the exact spec is 15 by 8 with an offset of 25 millimeters, and that worked well. Eight, dude, do the eight just because it really doesn't affect, dude, do the eight. And if you really want to be able to still like slide out the car a bit, just don't put like the stickiest tire on it. Like I have a stock NB, like the engine is making stock power right now and it can still kind of squeal and move around, but I have pretty strong summer tires. And that's definitely kind of like preventing a little bit of that. But the 8-inch wheels with like I got really into this for a while. The 8-inch wheels with the 205 50 15 tire look so good. Like it looks so meaty. Like, do you have an NB? What car are you looking at? Because I don't know how the wheel fitment works with the NA, but I can tell you that it 8-inch wide wheel with a 205 tire fits beautifully. It looks great. And it does, there's no, yeah, okay, NB, do the 8-inch. It just looks so much better. Do the 8-inch. If you really wanted to keep sliding, don't put the stickiest tire on it, and I think you'd be good. But it looks so good. And then my favorite part about an 8-inch wheel is you can get more of a concavity to the front of the wheel. So instead of being flat, you can get a lower offset where it risks. What am I doing? You can really get that like, oh my god, that concave look where it's kind of like going into it, right? That looks so good, and it's more possible to do that the wider your wheel is, right? That's what I would recommend. It looks cool. You can always like get a less downgrade the tire and still keep that. Um, yeah, it's kind of my thought on that. But I really love these wheels. They look so sharp. Um, I'm glad I researched the offset stuff too because I've seen a couple of these. I don't like how the S1 looks when it's a really high offset, so it's almost like flat and it just looks like spokes. I think the wheel looks so much better when you have that concavity. Yeah, dude, get the 8. Get the 8. Get the 8 with the 205 tire. It's like it's a great. That's what I have on mine. It's the way to go. Yeah. Making your Miata feel stellar in your car, so that FM lineup, making it feel fast, make things want to get. Yeah. Um. Yeah. I went for the stickiest tire I could just because I was kind of just when I got the car, I was still a little freaked out about the fact that it doesn't have traction control, and I never had any experience with that. So I wanted to just if I'm taking it on some twisty roads, I wanted to have the most like peace of mind that I have as good traction as I could. But yeah, it definitely like it's harder for me to like get it to slide a little for fun in like a neighborhood street or anything now, or like on like a small like a 40-mile-an-hour road, like turning onto the street and just getting a little bit of squeal. Can't really do it with stock power much anymore unless it's wet. Um, but yeah, if you just want it to be like kind of playful on the road on like the streets, yeah, you can always downgrade the tire. But I'm hoping with the supercharger, it'll kind of cancel out the fact that I have a pretty sticky tire, and I'll kind of be back to that state, back at a good point where it's playful enough and it can slide out enough. Um, but yeah. What else do y'all want to see? Probably going to end this live stream here in the next like 10, 15 minutes. But I'm very curious. What else do y'all want to see? What do you like? Because I don't really the way that YouTube works. Like I don't really get that much like feedback, except for views, which is not always the best indicator. So I'm always kind of like curious, like what kind of content seems to be working well, or what do you want to see? Because otherwise, I'm just kind of running with whatever I want to make, like in terms of the videos I want to make. Um, So I'm always very curious to hear feedback. I'm very open to it. I'm also kind of thinking about trying to see how I can do live streams more in the future and what I can like what people would be interested to see. Let's see. General. Patty Boy. Yeah, I follow him. They're like a more artsy version of what Patty Boy does. That's funny you mention that. I enjoy just seeing the challenges you encounter and how you solve them. Okay, so that's kind of funny that you bring up Patty Boy. I think he makes really good content. I like his stuff. Never talked with him though. But oh, drifting. Oh, wait, did I read that? No, I read that wrong. Driving videos. But getting back to the Patty Boy thing, I have been on a when I started getting into YouTube, once I really started getting traction and I started focusing more on, okay, I figured out what I'm making, what my voice is, but what am I going to do to grow? I started figuring out who my competitors are or who are the people in the same space with the similar amount of size. And I kind of like set this goal in my head of like, I want to see if I can beat their views. That was just kind of like it was just like a fun benchmark for me to like have a goal, because otherwise what's the goal? Like if I'm trying to grow like, I don't know, 1 million views, like that's kind of crazy. So a more realistic fun goal was just like, I wonder if I can beat the views of these people that I kind of see as like like my peers essentially. And he is one of those people that like I've watched for a while and I was like, I like your content. I want to see if I can outdo you. So like there was a couple of times where I uploaded videos actually on the same day as him and I was watching it and like he gets good views. But yeah, it's like him, and then sometimes I enjoy like I watch Flywheel Films. I'll see if I can like outdo their views sometimes. So it's always kind of fun for me to like create a competition in my head. But yeah, I like his stuff. Going back to other videos, I like the road trip video or just driving videos in general. That's interesting you say that. I've been finding the road trip video didn't do well. And I don't know if that was like because it was my first video back from like, I don't know, a month or 2 month long break, but it was so much effort. I enjoyed it. Like I took the trip for my like I was gonna take the trip anyway. I got a lot out of it, but it took a literal month of editing to put all that footage together, and didn't really feel confident that it resonated with people. I tried my best to make it do so, um, but I wasn't really confident that it did the best that it could have. But I'm still trying to see what I can do about it. Like any adventures I take, I'm definitely gonna like record and make videos out of it. Like I had an adventure 2 weeks ago where I started building a carport so that I have shade to work on the car under. Like if I'm gonna be welding, I can't weld in the garage for fire reasons. Um, so I started building a carport, and the very next day, the city came to my door and they told me that someone complained. And they got me on a technicality with a code violation, a city code violation. So that was an adventure navigating that it kind of affected the car hobby. And I thought it'd be kind of funny to see if I can weave that storyline into some of my videos. But yeah, getting back to the driving thing, like I want to see if I can make more driving videos. I can't figure out what other kind of driving videos could do well. I tried to make that video last year where it wasn't like a POV video, but it was kind of just like trying to convey the experience of driving it with like I set up a mic in the engine bay next to the intake. And then I taped a mic to the near the exhaust. It's not there right now. I taped a mic to an exhaust, and then I had another like interior cabin mic, and I set up like multiple GoPros and my main camera just mounted on the trunk, and then took like a really fun sunset drive. And that was a lot of fun to make, but I also like that video didn't do well. I think it just wasn't engaging enough for people to want to stay more than like the first minute or 30 seconds. But I feel like kind of curious to see if I can make some sort of interesting like road trip like adventure videos. They might I feel like they might go a little bit more like vlog style to kind of like make that work. Would you pick M3 or RS3? Honestly, I don't know. I'm not that familiar with German cars outside of Porsches. Um, I literally actually don't know much about the difference between the two. Like all I know are Miatas, Porsches. In terms of like fun cars, like that's all I ever like can think about, and that's the only two like brands that I know their models pretty well. Um, yeah. What is the difference? Like I don't know much. I just know the M3 is crazy. Um, I think part of the reason I've never been that interested in that stuff is just I find it more interesting. I enjoy hobbies that are attainable, I guess. And like an M3 or RS3 is so out of the realm of kind of like my life that I don't relate to it. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't find it that relatable, and so I end up just not spending a lot of time like learning about it. But like a Miata is like the most relatable car. Like anyone who can afford a car can afford a Miata, and like you can do so much with it for relatively cheap. And that gets me going. Like that gets me excited, and and that's also why I enjoy making content because I know it can relate with people. Um, but yeah, I have a hard time relating to any of like the crazy high performance cars. I just like Porsches because I like the style. I like the ethos of the brand and like the kind of cars they make. But I just never have connected. I don't like. I know a bit about other cars like Lambos, Ferraris, but like not really. My whole life with cars is just basically Miata. Like you asking if you, I know a lot about the NB Miata specifically. NC I wouldn't know like the first thing, you know. Like I'm just so into that one car that I like am relating with. I also liked your road trip video. I'm also digging the Patty Boy NC saga. I haven't watched that yet, but I saw that what was it? He bought one and then he drove it like cross country or halfway across the country, and then now I saw his latest video like on YouTube on my homepage, but I haven't watched it yet about like fixing everything about it. Um, but I've also kind of like okay, so I've also tried to stop watching my peers because I feel like I'm going to end up, and I kind of know that I do. I don't want their content to influence my content too much. I want to see if I can keep kind of going with a unique voice. And I'm curious to see if that ends up like making a difference. And I got that idea from if anyone watches like Casey Neistat or Van Neistat, I'm sure a lot of you probably know Casey Neistat. Like he's a big time like vlogger, like OG YouTuber from like a while ago. And he has a brother, Van Neistat, who's kind of like the artsy guy. Um, and he started making YouTube videos a couple of years ago. And he said in one of his like videos, he actually tries to not, he doesn't watch like any YouTube at all. And then I think he tries to not watch too much of Casey's videos just so he doesn't start becoming Casey and he can actually like become his, was that lightning? Just so that he can become like his own authentic voice, completely uninfluenced, just to like see what happens. And I've kind of been doing that. Like once I've like watched enough their content, I realized if I keep continually digesting their stuff while I'm making my stuff, I'm gonna make the same thing at the end of after like a few months. I'm gonna make the same thing, and I'm kind of enjoying figuring out my own voice and making stuff in my own style. So I've been trying to like I haven't watched Matt Armstrong in a few months now. I'm like I got a lot of ideas from him in terms of video making and like the way he narrates and tells stories. And I realize I'm getting a little too close already, closer than I'd like, and I want to just so I haven't watched him. What I'm trying to do instead actually at this point is watch unrelated non-car videos. Just like take from everything but car YouTube and see what happens when I bring that kind of influence into car YouTube. And like one of the main things that's kind of influenced that is Van Neistat. I like seeing, I'm gonna grab a charger. I'll be back in like literally 10 seconds. All right, back in 10 seconds. So one of the things that, let's see here. Are we good? Yeah. Oh, this is not gonna balance. Can I make this work? Oh boy, so this is just gonna keep sliding. Give me a second. Let's see what I can do here. Okay, well I guess I'm holding it. What was I saying? Like one of the examples recently of trying to have my attempt to have other bring in influence from outside car YouTube into car YouTube was one example I can point to is Van Neistat. I draw a lot, like I've seen a couple of comments, quite a lot of comments about like, I like the way that you're telling stories. Seeing how you dealt with insurance was relatable and the explanations you gave were informative. Here we go. You're a good communicator. Thank you. So kind of parts of what you're talking about, for those specific insurance videos, I tried to draw very heavily on Van Neistat's videos. And I was kind of focused a lot on how he can tell very riveting stories about the most minute details. And so I was kind of like drawing from that idea and that style and seeing if I can apply that to like the craziness that was happening in my life, which was dealing with my car getting totaled. I guess there's some dogs outside. Yeah. So that's kind of like what my mindset has been. And that's why I've kind of tried to, I don't always do it, but I try to avoid taking too much car YouTube inspiration and watch something else. Yeah. I know your tech support for your whole family from experience. Kind of, but my whole family is also tech. So I still end up being tech support at the end of the day. Yeah, you're right. Collaborating with Miata Dad would be sick. Oh, you mean Greg Peters? Because if you do, I have a funny story about that one. Bo Miles is another one that can tell amazing. I've seen that name somewhere. Out of seemingly nothing. His road trip video he did is a good example. I feel like I missed a video somewhere. Or missed a comment. Did I? Okay, no. Bo Miles. Remind me of the... I can just look it up. What am I talking about? I recognize that name. Let me see here. Oh, whoa. I so have not watched this man. Yeah, Greg Peters. Yeah, dude, I call him Miata Dad too. My girlfriend, she doesn't know a thing about cars. The only thing she like knows is like Miata Dad is Greg Peters. Like, yeah, I've talked about it that much. So I actually tried to see if I could meet up with him when I was in San Diego. I was seeing if I could actually end up getting to hang out with him in the road trip video when I was in SoCal with the Miata because he lives in San Diego. And so I messaged him on his Patreon. I was seeing if like I could maybe like do a photo shoot with him. I thought that'd be pretty fun. And that would kind of like that would have been such a cool like cherry on top of like what was a very specifically Miata road trip. It didn't work out, but he's like the one like Miata guy that I want to him and like Keith Tanner. Like I still want to meet him. But it was cool at least like that road trip I got to meet like some of the other big people. Specifically like Goodwin Racing and 949. But yeah, I'd love to meet Greg Peters. Um, I'm sure it'll happen one day. I'm actually like I'm gonna be in San Diego pretty often now, so we'll see. Bow Miles, another one, and Bow Miles seems to have a pretty successful channel too. I might check him out. Greg Peters is his actual name. Yep. But yeah, like kind of going back to that thought about drawing inspiration. I try to remember what else I've drawn inspiration from. Um, what do I watch? Let's see. There's a lot of film photography channels that I watch that I don't know if that inspiration is really. And this camera is shaking so much. I want to see if I can do something about this. Yeah, y'all are gonna fall in like a minute, but this should work. Iden Templin made a sick Miata rebuild video. Wait, I think I know what you're talking about. I think I follow him. Is that the one where the thumbnail is just like absolutely beautiful in like the white garage? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I started watching that. Yeah, that guy had. Oh yeah, I remember this guy. Yeah, he has an interesting style of content that is getting more views than I would expect. Because I don't think he really talks in his content, does he? Yeah. But yeah, I watched a bit of that rebuild, and I thought that the engine, and I thought that that thumbnail was so cool. I really like his style, and that was kind of like my original goal with the car, with like my videos was try to lean into like the artsy, kind of see how artsy I can get with it, which it's kind of hard when I'm trying to learn how to do everything for the first time because I've also never made videos before. So I'm always kind of like learning how to make videos while I'm learning how to work in the car. So it's hard for me to do it everything well when I'm learning everything. But the reason I'm doing it is kind of like the quote I mentioned that I've been following. You can't steer a parked car. I'm just treating this as iterating. Like I'll only get there if I keep trying this. But my goal is to be able to like make videos where it's just there's a cool artsy element to it that kind of helps it stand apart. But now I'm kind of curious what else I follow. It'd be kind of cool if some of you all actually know some of these people. Oh, what's this guy's name? There's a guy who is currently biking from Alaska to. Is he going to South America? The southern tip of South America or the southern tip of North America? He's like biking across the country. And him and his, I guess now ex-girlfriend, I've been following them for a while. Greg, what's his name? His name is Greg something. But they make really good videos of like their experience having like the trip of a lifetime biking across like the continent. I watch stuff like that. What is his name? The girl's name is Anna Victoria Sadilo. They were kind of on this trip together. Let's see what else. But I feel like really good content comes out of like merging different influences rather than sticking with the one influence. So that's kind of been like a goal that I've been focused on the whole time. What else we got here? What other YouTubers do y'all like? Pulling nuts and bolts in one bag to get zinc plated. That stressed me out. Oh, like he just mixed everything up. Yeah, that's a ballsy move. Uh, I am like really careful when I work with bolts to label everything. Like even when I just disassembled the door in my last video, I didn't know how many bolts I was going to end up with. So I put every set of bolts in a Ziploc and just wrote with Sharpie. Just like, okay, like door, bar, support, bolts, trim bolts, and so on. At the end of the day, I only have like 3 bags of like 10 bolts total, which is kind of funny. But when it comes to pulling the engine out, like I don't know how many parts there are going to be that I have to track. But that's my biggest fear, is putting it back together and hoping it actually works. Samsung Boat Co. Restoring Tally Ho? What in the world? People restore boats? I didn't think about that. Dang, he's got some good views. That's so cool. When I bought this rotting yacht, that is such a cool setup. Wow. Wait, this is actually like really enticing title and thumbnails. Everyone thought I was crazy when I bought this rotting yacht for $1, or it doesn't show me the rest of the number. Boat built, like, oh my god, lead pouring to sad news. Wow, this is fascinating. I didn't know you can like, this is like a world. Wow. Martin, cabin building in the Italian Alps. Interesting. What else have I got here that I watch? Lately, there has been a lot of like engineer related videos, just because I'm kind of getting more into that. Like, I like watching grind. They build wild vehicles out of scrap. Oh, I have something to talk about. Oh, give me a second here. I have to look this up first. But I have a point to make about what the hell? Okay, so I'm looking up grind hard plumbing. I guess next time I do this, I should probably have I should probably set it up with a screen share too. I think that'd be fun. Whoa. Yeah, this is just nutty. I gotta check this out. Overland camping in a Corvette. These are really good ideas for YouTube. Wow. Yeah, see, this is kind of like a cooler way to go, where it's like you're doing stuff that no one's really seen, at least at that level. Damn. Okay, so one other like piece of inspiration, good, it might even be bad, that's gonna eventually work its way into my videos, is like unhinged engineers. Like, and I'm specifically mean like William Osman and Michael Reeves. I've been watching way too much, and Emily the engineer. I've been watching too much of their stuff lately, and I know that I'm gonna start, I think with like my wheel video about downsizing my wheels, I might go into like I might go into like a weird rant about it. And I'm seeing if I can like do like unhinged like rabbit hole videos, where like I go down a lot of rabbit holes with a lot of things. That's just kind of the way I am, and that's the reason I'm here making like very niche and specific like Miata YouTube videos. But I think there could be an entertaining way to like show the process of me going into a rabbit hole. Um, like that happens all the time. Like there was a period where I didn't make videos for like 3 weeks, like 2 months ago, and it was because I went into a rabbit hole and I successfully built a file server out of a Raspberry Pi to manage all of my files. Essentially a super like DIY, like network attached storage. And you know, like stuff like that, especially if it's Miata related, I feel like it could be interesting to get like put almost like comedic value in the way that I just keep going. Yeah, you're getting in NAS stuff, dude. What's this name? What's the guy? Yes, I got into like NAS stuff like 2 months ago. Jeff Geerling, that's the dude. I started watching so much Jeff Geerling videos of him just like getting into the nitty gritty about like hard drives and tech and NASs and Raspberry Pis. Uh, so yeah, I got into that for a while, and I almost bought one, and then I just went with like building a Raspberry Pi one. I just hooked up a 24 terabyte drive to a Raspberry Pi, and just called it. And I built like redundancies, but yeah, I just called it a day. I built an unraid server to work as an app server with my NAS, piggybacking off of it for the big storage and redundancy. Oh, I see. Nice. Yeah, I ended up just hooking a hard drive, like a fat, cheap hard drive to a Raspberry Pi. It would be a little slow, but it was good enough for the price. And then my plan is to make several more, like one or two more, as the backup, like redundant backups. And then once I have the backups built, I'm going to write a rsync script to automate the backups as well. But sync thing. Let's see. I don't know, man. I was about to like literally just manually write out like an rsync script, and the syncing script was just gonna be like sync entire contents of drive. Interesting. I'll take a look at that one. Yeah, dude, I love Raspberry Pis. I have like 5 or 6, and yeah, I have like 5 or 6, and like that's what I was talking about earlier. Like I don't know if you were there, but I was talking about like some of my other hobbies, and one of them before cars was I did a lot of like creative tech or like art installation related stuff, like computer graphics with processing or Raspberry like electronics and hardware in a creative way with like Arduinos and Raspberry Pis and individual addressable LED strips. I did that for a while, and then I also did like film photography, and then like being a musician, and then now I'm in car YouTube. But once in a while, I'll still have those tangents where I get really into that one thing again. Yeah, so I had like a massive like Raspberry Pi deep dive like 2 months ago. But I love the Raspberry Pi. Like it's not as cheap anymore, but just there's something it's a lot like a Miata to me in terms of something that is so relatively cheap and accessible and customizable. It makes me just very excited to like work with that and like figure out what I can do to customize with it or modify it to my needs. So I've had a really fun time with that. What else? What are my other tangents? The Raspberry Pi one was like the main one recently, and then after that, it's just kind of been like, what else was it? Oh, it was like garage renovation stuff, but it wasn't as technical or that interesting. It wasn't like a hobby thing. It was just I got really into polyaspartic floor coatings to figure out what I was going to be doing, which I got the coating here. Oh yeah, I'm a software engineer. I do like front end web development essentially. Um, yeah, and then like my current job is specifically doing a lot of web development that makes sure that websites are responsive. So like if you open it on a phone, it like adapts really nicely, and then also more importantly making sure it's accessible. So like blind people and visually impaired people can actually see because like what you have to do is like you can build a really good website, you can make it adaptable, that's all good, and that's generally like what I can do. But there's another step to making a website accessible where like if you build a website but you also add a lot of metadata to describe the website, blind people can access the website now by using a screen reader, and a screen reader only knows what you've coded in. So now a lot of my work right now is specifically making websites and web apps really accessible for basically like visually impaired people. And then oh, that is lightning outside. Yeah, but yeah, my basic skill set is software development with like a specialization in like front end web development. Like my own website that I like, it's in my video descriptions. Ubby.work is like something I built myself. If that kind of like gives you an idea of what it looks like. Also, Wesley Kagan. Let's check that out. I have not seen Wesley Kagan before, if I'm pronouncing that right. I built new ITBs for the V12. Oh wow, that is crazy. A V12. Okay, wait. I have to watch this now. A V12 coffee table with moving pistons. Yeah, I definitely need to set up like screen sharing for the next live stream, so I can like look at this stuff. Oh my god, this is cool. Wow. I'm gonna save that one. Software and data migration. I do some light website stuff for my company as well. Nice. Um, yeah, I gravitated more towards the front end web development aspect of things because I'm a kind of a my background is in like fine arts and like music basically, and being in software it's very like non-creative and non-visual. So web development was like a good happy medium where I have like a good career, but it also like within that field I could do stuff very visually. So I can work at a very high level with like, oh, how's the website set up? And I have these containers and containers and how are we navigating data in and out? But I'm still working with like visual stuff. And that's kind of exciting. So that's kind of why I ended up gravitating towards front end specifically. Because if I was doing like full time like database work, it just wouldn't work for me the way like my brain works. But yeah, and this V12 coffee table is crazy. Huh. Oh, I've been watching. Okay, I did say I don't watch like almost any car YouTube anymore. I do watch Vintra. It's VIN_TRA. I've been watching him a lot. I've been like enjoying his kind of journey and the way that he's presenting a lot of stuff. Yo, he used a Raspberry Pi to control the valves. Wesley Kagan. I've been kind of thinking about ways to use some of like the Arduino or ESP32 or Raspberry Pi stuff I do in the car videos and stuff, but it just I haven't found many places where it makes sense. Oh, you're talking about his videos about putting the Koenigsegg free valve tech? What the hell? Huh. Oh yeah, free valve video. That's what you're talking about. Damn, I need to check some of the stuff out. Is it actually storming right now? All right, I'm probably gonna end this in a couple of minutes. If there's any last minute questions or thoughts, I'd be happy to talk about it. Um, but yeah, if you want to see like any like behind the scenes stuff more like this, I'm starting to post more on my Patreon. That is linked somewhere on my YouTube channel. In like the description of my YouTube videos, it's like the first link. You can always like support the channel with that, and I'll be like, I'm thinking about trying to like make like a monthly video or something where I just talk about the latest tangents essentially. Like I made one last week where I talked about that Raspberry Pi NAS and like the rabbit hole I went down. I showed some of it. So I'm trying to like do more with the Patreon and kind of like show a lot of behind the scenes stuff going on, and then also like even non-car related stuff that's just like fun and technical. But yeah, thanks everyone who like stuck around. This is my first time doing this. Didn't expect to have so many problems, but it looks like we're almost there. It looks like it was actually a fun time. I'm gonna try and do more of these. I'm gonna see what other ways I can do it. But I appreciate the support. It's always kind of cool to see that. And it kind of helps me just keep making stuff to just see that it's relating with people. And I'm always trying to push myself to do more. And I get decision paralysis too often. So it helps a lot just to see people be like doing good stuff. Um, but yeah. Oh man, if you just joined, I'm ending the stream like in a minute. I'm sorry, but hi. If you have anything to say or a question, I'll answer it real quick. But I gotta eat dinner soon. I didn't actually expect the stream to go on this long, but that's a good thing. Any thoughts? Anything else to say before it ends? All right, how do I end a stream on my phone? Okay, well, thanks for watching. Will I start again? Yeah, I had a good time. I want to see if I can do more specific live streams. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna do more in the future for sure. So I'll probably give a better heads up as well. But yeah, so there'll be more. I don't know when. I'll be posting about it on like the YouTube post option. I'll be posting about it on my Patreon. Oh, I'll be posting about it in my Discord. If you haven't joined that, you should join that. It's linked in the description of all my videos. That's where like there's a lot of people all in one place, and that's where I can like chat with people and like post updates. But yeah, if you subscribe, you'll probably see like the YouTube post that I'll make. And then I'll try and like schedule out streams a little farther ahead so you know it's coming up. But yeah, thanks for all the support, and I'll see you guys next time after I figure out how to end the stream on my phone.